patents. So right now, you're being aggressive, right? So you're violating my Third Amendment right because I'm quartering with an enemy combatant.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. Everyone's having a good time. Just give people a chance to come on. Kimber's first. What's up, Aaron? How are you guys doing today? What's up, Sean? What's up, Carl? So we got a hell of a topic today. The slow death of critical thinking. I think we can all agree that that's rampant in the 1A community, but not just in the 1A community. It's in general all over the place. Critical thinking skills are going the wayside, kind of like when a lot of people talk about how chivalry is dead as well. Critical thinking is starting to go the way of the dodo. I don't think that's something that should be done. That's something that doesn't need to go the way of the dodo. What's up, the Hornet? So that's what we're going to be discussing today, some critical thinking and all that. Now, go ahead and no breaking things here. What's up, Stud? Yeah, definitely no breaking things. We don't want anything broken here. Especially now that Glitterbug's here, you really can't break things. Glitter's the money behind the show, so everyone show Glitter that support. Without Glitterbug, this show's not possible. No, I'm just playing. What's up, Glitterbug? All right, so I just gotta play this one more time, guys, because I laugh every time I see it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play it one more time. It's just hilarious.
Patents. So right now, you're being aggressive, right? So you're violating my Third Amendment right because I'm quartering with an enemy combatant.
That's pretty good. Every time. Now, is that funnier than when Audit in the USA said the First Amendment is the Fourth Amendment, or was that funnier? I kind of think they're both at the same level. They're both really stupid, and therefore it makes them both really, really funny. What's up, Kimbles? Holly break shot stuff. Kenny, I was in Chuck's chat, and there are still a few people that do not believe Patty was awarded $50K. I know there are so many people that just can't comprehend that he won that. But I mean, when you look at the facts of the case, I mean, it really was a slam dunk. It really was. What's up, Taco? All right, so let's go ahead and get this shindig on the road. I can have a lot more people than 6, so if people want to come up. Now, we're going to be talking about critical thinking skills, so if you lack critical thinking skills, probably shouldn't come up here, but I know that's not anyone here. We all have critical thinking skills here. I like to slam dunk Patty, right? What's up, Carl? Yep, there's still people that believe Dejan is Abrams too. That's what's crazy. What's up, Scott?
Kenny.
You can come on the panel, Glitterbug. There's plenty of room. I can have like 10 people, I think, now. So you can come on up.
Yeah, Glitterbug's awesome.
Unless you don't have critical thinking skills, Glitter, then yeah, you probably shouldn't come up if you don't have critical.
Careful. Don't piss off Glitter. So come and bite you in the ass.
As will I. Oh.
So we'll start out with talking about Josh Abrams' bra. Oh God, who is this? Oh, it's Sean. What's up, Sean? I was like, who the hell is Josh Abrams from? Like,
Sean, love
That's
you.
why I can never change my logo, because that way I can keep putting the little cute things on there. And
yeah.
Well, do what I
Yeah.
do. I change my logo daily now just to, mess with people.
well, see, mine comes from my Google, and I don't want to start messing with all my email and everything.
Lies, glitter. You have lots of critical thinking skills. Because if you didn't, you would believe every single thing Josh Abrams says. And we all know you don't believe everything Abrams
Wait.
says, but you definitely have critical thinking skills.
If she had critical thinking skills, she wouldn't hang out with us.
Yeah.
Whoa. Hey, Sean, don't
Sean,
give
be
away
nice.
secrets, man. Come on now.
Be
What's up,
nice.
Source Watcher?
God damn it.
All right, so we'll start with Carl here. Now, Carl, what do you think is behind the loss of critical thinking skills in our society?
Oh, definitely, definitely, uh, probably, definitely, others.
Okay, Stuck.
I think it's in the education system. I think it's like I haven't been to school for many years, but I mean all the courses I took, a lot of them required you to actually develop that. And I don't know what it's like these days, but I think it's just starts there.
Yeah, I agree. I think the education system is really letting people down when it comes to critical thinking skills. Good, that's a good point. What about you, Josh Abrams, bra?
I think part of it's YouTube culture. People they go on the first thing they see, or they don't look for an opposite viewpoint, or analyze it. We're still trying to figure out the whole Jacobs thing in Kenosha, because we all rush to judgment, and it looks like the first thought might be true, but there might be more facts we don't know about.
True. No, that's very true. Okay, so we just talked about how now what about specifically in the 1A community do you guys see many issues with that tends to attract a lot of people that don't have critical thinking skills? We'll start the opposite. We'll start with you again, Sean.
Somebody like a Glenn or an Anselmo or Patty or Josh, just yelling at police and yelling at people in general and calling them names, because that gets all their supporters. Oh, look at him, stick it to the man, and it gives them money.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to think. It's just reaction.
Right. So you think it's just kind of like it's a good way for them to just kind of get away from the work day and just relax and not think and just enjoy whatever.
I don't think they can think. I don't think they can think.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yelling at nurses for having a tattoo on their hand is not sticking it to the man. It's showing what a disgusting pig you are.
Okay, not only just the frauders, but what about the people that enjoy the frauders?
Well, people like dumpster fires and playing. I used to go to this thing, the Stead Air Races up in Nevada. I swear people go to see somebody crash. Same thing with Indy cars.
Yeah, that's true.
So
absolutely. Stuck. What about you?
What was the question? Sorry, I was distracted by my dog barking for a second there, so I had to go on mute.
We're talking about why 1A community itself has a lack of critical thinking skills, and then why the people that watch them, why does it attract all these people that don't have any critical thinking skills and they just believe everything the fraudster?
It goes back to the masses. The problem with most of our society now is that people see one thing and they think it's true. They don't do the necessary research and what is necessary to to proceed forward with truth, not false information.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Welcome, Morgie. Do you have something you want to say on this?
Morgie, hello. How are you?
Hello, Morgie.
Good I going?
We're here bugging Kenny.
Yeah, so what do you think, Morgie? What do you think the downfall is? It's not just in the 1A community, but in society in general, just the lack of critical thinking skills that are being displayed on a daily basis.
Well, I think it shows actually an interesting side of society in the fact that with the internet now, with so much information available at your fingertips, people believe what they want to believe, and they're too bloody lazy to actually go and do the actual little bit of research, to actually just punch those keys to Google something, to double check it, or to use multiple platforms to cross check. They want to be told. They don't want to do the research themselves, and I think that's where everything falls down.
It's
Yeah.
sad.
That's absolutely true. I totally agree with you on that one. What about you, Carl? What do you think?
Nobody trusts anybody anymore.
Yep, it's a good one. We got someone else here. What's up, Chief?
Hey,
Chief.
how's it going, everybody?
Hi, Chief.
Congratulations.
All right.
Good job on helping your buddy the other day, or your cop friend.
Oh yeah, that worked out.
Yeah,
Luckily,
no,
it worked out well. Nobody got real hurt. So
I know you were pissed because you had to leave the stream. So.
All right, so
I was, because it was a really good stream.
all right, so Chief, what do you think? What do you think some of the issues are in the 1A community with critical thinking skills? Why there is a lack of it, and not just in the 1A community, but in society in general?
Well, I think these 1A guys and girls, they go to YouTube University, which doesn't really have a class in critical thinking. And it's just that it just seems to me that they're not interested in information or a honest debate or conversation. They just want to put out their rhetoric and their propaganda. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Okay. All right, someone's got to mute whatever's going on in the background there.
Yeah, somebody's vacuuming. I'll mic it there.
All right, there we go. All right, so yeah, all right, so that's in the 1A community. What do you think about the lack of it in society in general, not just the 1A community, just in general? We're seeing a total lack of critical thinking in everyday life as well.
Yep.
Well, my theory on that would be that a lot of the college students around this nation, they're a different kind of college student that when I grew up and I was in college. People were there to get an education. I mean, we were there to do the work and get the degree, but there's some people, like today, they don't treat college like it's supposed to be institution for higher learning. They use it as like the Antifa people. They're mostly college students, college age students, that kind of thing. And they take degrees like liberal arts and like communications, and nothing really of substance. There's not a whole lot of science. There's not a whole lot of mathematics. There's not a whole lot of English or world history. It seems like they're just taking classes to get a degree, and they don't want to really put in the work.
Okay, but all right, now here's one of the things. You mentioned a communication degree. Now, what a communication degree, you would think that critical thinking would be definitely taught that with a communications degree. So I don't know if you could really put that degree, but I think what you're talking about, like the arts and all that, yeah, that one. But I wouldn't agree with the communications degree just because, I've took some communication classes and it demands critical thinking.
Okay, I just while you were gabbering on there, Chief, I just did a quick Google search on what the definition of critical thinking is, and just so we can bring it, so we can see if we can come up with something here on this topic. But it is the objective analysis and evaluation of an issue in order to form a judgment. That's the definition. Now, there are 5 critical thinking skills. Does anybody know what those are?
I've heard them before, but I definitely know listening is definitely huge.
Okay. Well, there's analysis, interpretation, inference, explanation, self-regulation, and problem solving with open-mindedness.
Which, of course, frauditors have nothing, which, of course, does not apply to frauditors in any way, shape, or form.
Well, exactly. I just,
Oh no.
I just figured I'd bring that in just for my own curiosity too, right? So,
Right, absolutely, and it's another thing. A lot of them are not open minded at all. They come in with their own bias. They come in with their own views and how they feel things should be done. They're not willing to um, sit down and discuss and maybe come to some sort of terms. They're just it's their way or the highway a lot of times.
And also, if you apply that as if you apply those 5 skills,
yes,
that also excludes them from the journalism of being regarded as a journalist, because
Mhm.
they don't apply those skills. Critical thinking skills need to be required as a journalist, because you need to be non-biased and you need to be able to problem solve and have those skills to analyze. And these guys just don't do it. I mean, they're really good at analyzing how much they're going to make off a viral video, but that's about it.
right.
Now, now,
Go ahead, Ken.
now, to be fair, I hear what you're saying, but if you look at not all journalists that are considered journalists are like that. Look at a lot of Infowars, for example. They're completely biased, and
But they're their opinions and their personal opinions and their
yeah.
conspiracy theories. They're not journalism.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, I got you. Fair enough.
But also, is it possible that the type of university they attend might do better for the critical thinking part of the degree, like maybe Harvard or Yale or any of those like really high-end, upscale Ivy League universities?
Well, yeah, because they have a higher standard as far as their degrees are concerned. So in order to obtain your degree, you have to show a certain level of critical thinking.
Right. Now, I can tell you one thing, and people can argue with me on this one. And I was told this a long time ago. One of the subjects that everybody's like, well, we don't really need it that much, but we will do it, is mathematics. Mathematics, as you go up higher in the grades, and when you get into the university and college level, teaches you critical thinking. When you take the geometry, calculus, algebra, those kind of things, I mean, you may never use them again in your life, but they teach you those basic skills. Because I remember my calculus class was really tough, and it taught me a lot of that. It's those kind of things we don't have anymore, or people are avoiding, aren't they?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think we one of the things that I've seen is that we've gotten away from the basic knowledge that we used to get in schools. So, your basics like history, mathematics, English, that kind of stuff. And I do understand that there's, a lot more integration with schools with a lot of people, especially here, that speak different languages. But go through the basics first, learn the basics, and then don't give them the choice of applied female studies or something like that. Just that's you don't do that in high school. You can do that in university, but you don't do that in high school. You need to have the skills, the basic skills in high school to get through life now. So,
Exactly.
and a lot of people say, mathematics isn't a. If you want to learn mathematics on a higher level, then yes, do it. But learn the basics in high school. And I think one of the biggest problems with schools is they have moved away from the basics. I don't know how you guys think, but that's how I.
Well, we had grade 13, which is basically, that's been phased out a long time ago. But our grade 13 math class was higher algebra, right? So, and that was mandatory. What are we listening to? No, those mathematics courses were mandatory back in the day. I don't know about you, Chief. Did you take calculus and algebra?
Yes, I did. I actually had to attend a military academy when I was young. And yeah, we definitely had those higher end classes because it was a private education.
And I mean, you're probably never going to use the calculus ever again, are you?
Probably not, because I went into law enforcement. If I had gone into like a teaching deal or something like that, yeah, I would definitely have worked harder at it.
But what you got out of it was problem-solving skills and analytics and analyzing and whatnot, right? Because some of the calculus stuff in my university class were, yeah, it could take you an hour and a half to 2 hours to solve one problem.
Yeah, but you know what that really burns me is some kids go in there, they take calculus and they whiz right through it, like they got it right from day one. I always hated those guys.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we're gonna welcome 2 new people into the panel real quick. Diver, welcome.
G'day, NJ.
Good evening.
Did you have anything you wanted to add to the conversation, sir?
Well, I've seen this genre will go from somewhat of a activist group to basic entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Taka? Welcome, by the way.
Thank you. The panel kind of focused on auditors, but I gotta point out, even watchdogs have lacked critical thinking skills at points. It really boils down to personal bias clouding critical thinking at times.
Absolutely. That's true. Not only just the watchdogs, but a lot of times some of the people that are watching the watchdogs lack the critical thinking skills as well. They'll because the watchdog is biased, or just in general, anybody that's watching YouTube in general lacks, because that's a better way to put it. YouTube in general lacks critical thinking, because the host will say something and people will just automatically believe it and take it as fact without bothering to looking to see exactly what is true, what's not true. So no, it's not just the 1A community. It's just a lack of critical thinking skills in general.
So here's a question. Sorry.
There's always, when there's ever multiple sides to a story, it's usually somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, usually. Absolutely. I found it that way. It's very true. Go ahead, Morgie.
Oh, I was just going to say, so here's a question for you. Do you think that with so much information, people can't process it? Do you think that they're, because their lack of critical thinking, because of so much information being available on the net, do you think, is it a lack of education that hasn't developed any kind of critical thinking, or is it just inherent laziness because there is so much information out there?
Oh,
I think
laziness plays a huge part.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a little bit of both.
I would agree with that.
It's laziness, plus I think once you get some personal bias, you tend to float to a certain direction in what knowledge you want to learn.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just. Hold on. I gotta do something. I'm gonna mute myself for a second. Hold on, I'll be back.
All right. So Paul Kent brings up a good point. He says, "Look how kids today are educated. They spend more time on their phones or computer rather than in a family unit." And it's the way the news is. It's all 30 seconds, little sound bites. It's all about sound bites. No one bothers to read like whole articles anymore. Which is why traditional print is going out of business. As a medium, journalism is probably going to disappear pretty soon.
All right, I have a question here to pose, because we do have a journalist in the chat. Yep. I just witnessed a major network news program play the second video from Kenosha. The interesting part was they edited out the first few seconds. And that's the few seconds that show him fighting the police.
Yep, that's network bias.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Is this a kid? You mean for the kid who? You mean the guy who got shot, or the kid who was?
The gentleman who was shot that started it.
Oh, okay, yeah. You mean the bit around the other side?
Yeah,
The
the
second
one with the 2 warrants and previous violent convictions.
domestic violence. Yeah. Okay. Righto. Sorry. Just trying to work out which one because there's been so many come out of there the last few days.
Now, all Chicago's in the chat. All of Chicago, I want to ask you a question. Do you yourself notice amongst your viewers a lack of critical thinking skills? Not for most of them, but do you at least acknowledge that there is a lack of critical thinking in your chat or in your comments section or whatnot? That's my question to you, sir.
Be interesting to find out if he would do an experiment, a social media experiment on his side, and see, put out something that's false, and see how many people bite.
On a future live stream, we ought to pick a subject and debate it. That would be an exercise in critical thinking.
It would be. I mean, that's what we do here, for God's sake. Okay, like the World War II stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff I didn't know. My critical I had to go out, take a look, and and analyze and see and make some decisions what I like and dislike, and I mean, that's it.
All right, so out in Chicago, you say no, you don't. So then, when you have comments in your comment section or people in a live chat that say "fuck all the police," all police are evil. You believe that there's no bias in that. That they're not critically thinking about this. They're not really. They critically thought that all police are bad. Really. Somehow I doubt that.
That's not critically thinking. It's what see now that's where the critical thinking lacks right there, is that because a few people are saying, well, police are bad, blah blah blah. All of a sudden now you're not thinking this through. You're just jumping on board the bandwagon and going with the flow.
Mob mentality.
Yeah,
It's just
absolutely.
mob mentality.
Mob mentality. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah.
Just,
I mean, Omaha Cop Block yesterday on Paulie's show literally said all cops are bad.
yeah, and that's not true, and that's not true. That's like saying everybody at the McDonald's spits in your hamburger.
Right.
I mean,
Now, out of Chicago, I agree with you. You can't change what they think or say, but you at least have to acknowledge the fact that they lack critical thinking skills, and therefore you do see a lack of critical thinking on your channel. That's all I'm pointing out. I'm not saying change their mind. I'm not saying trying to change their mind. I just wanted you to admit that yes, there is some bias and a lack of critical thinking on your side. There is a lack of critical thinking on this side as well. We're not perfect. There are people that don't have critical thinking skills on this side as well.
No, Taco's perfect.
Well, I didn't want to name any names, but yeah, Taco's definitely one.
I'm far from perfect.
just getting back to the university stuff that we were talking about earlier, and the liberal arts sort of stuff.
Yeah.
In some ways, you're quite correct as far as people going to university just to get a degree. I mean, I don't know how many cases you have over there, but we have a lot of cases where students come over here now and they just get because of the internet, they manage to find sites that will actually write their papers for them. So there's a load of cheating there because people don't want to do the work themselves.
They're lazy.
But it's getting harder to use that because they have these filters at the universities will catch it.
Oh yeah, no, I understand that now, but I'm just saying that if you wanted to, and just because it's the university's got filters on their side, it doesn't mean that there may not be an off-campus group that are doing it.
Yeah. You're cheating yourself because eventually you're going to be found out that you're not smart.
Yeah,
I agree with you totally. But I'm just saying, if we're going back to that critical thinking sort of thing, then you're cheating. You are cheating yourself. But if the universities are failing in that lack of teaching subjects that have critical thinking, or people are actually cheating,
getting away with it,
it's another pathway of where those critical thinking skills are being diminished.
Well, yeah, and then those people are going to go try and get that one job, right? That they're going to have to prove that skill set.
Right. That's one thing I was about to say, Stuck, was I know from my time in TSA, when I was doing job interviews, that was a big interview point, was critical thinking, and that was an interview question, and they had to show an example of a time when they demonstrated critical thinking. And that was a harder question for a lot of people. And so
Yeah. And you probably taught quite a few people on that, didn't you?
Everyone came up with a question eventually, but some it was a little bit harder, and some kind of blew the answer.
And it's interesting as you say the TSA, because critical thinking does need to be used, because you're dealing with people, you're dealing with different situations, and you're dealing with possible security breaches. So you have to be able to assess, analyze, and come to a very quick decision on whether or what that person actually has in their bags, and if they're a threat or not. So and your analysis of that can either get somebody arrested or have an aeroplane fall out of the sky. I mean, it's just,
you're making a 5-second decision on a bag.
Exactly.
Yep.
You make one mistake and it's boom.
Yeah.
Have that on you.
Yeah, that's a great thing to have on your resume. Oh, I lost UA 245 one day. It just fell out of the sky. Because I thought that piece of bomb making thing was actually somebody's bra with a can of peanuts. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was a big thing. Was you don't want to be the one sitting in front of
the X-ray
you don't want your name plastered in front because you took you let something through and it blew up a plane, and now you're public enemy number one because you felt rushed by your supervisors, because if you took 5 seconds longer on each bag, you were backing up the line and causing a 2-hour wait time.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, that's critical thinking skills. They come into a huge play here. But I don't know. I know the education system's changed a lot since I went to school, but I mean, they've cut back a lot of programs. They made a lot of stuff more optional than they should be for a lot of courses and types of courses now. And our kids are lacking a lot of knowledge, basic knowledge. And that's where it starts. It has nothing to do with, today, we see all the stuff now. People believe everything they see online, but they don't have the skills that they should have learned when they were kids.
Well, and then not just the education system. You got to blame the parents in some regard for that, because a lot of times, especially the homeschool children, their parents are indoctrinated, giving them all the knowledge they have, which is why I think that has a lot to do with some of the critical thinking problems, because the parents, when they get home, the parents don't instill these values in them and this thirst for knowledge like maybe some other countries might have.
Yeah.
I think there's also a problem with the modern day college student. They lack the motivation we had in the old days. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's easier to get into college now, especially with all the government money that you can get into it with, and scholarships. They didn't have scholarships when you were younger. I mean, as many as they do now. So more ways for people to get into college, and just a different style of teaching back then to now as well.
Entry requirements have changed immensely.
Yeah.
They've dropped, haven't they? They've lowered the entry requirements as well, haven't they?
Not every school.
No? Not every
school? Not every school, but I think you'll find that there's a lot more, I think you call them community colleges and things like that. So there's more pathways to get into university than there used to be.
There used to be, yeah. Okay.
My daughter just graduated from Pepperdine in May, which is a really good school. She could have gotten into USC, except that was a lot of money, more than we could have.
Pepperdine is a beautiful campus. I used to live there in Southern California. Yeah, I used to drive down Pacific Coast Highway and go down by Pepperdine. That is a wonderful campus. Beautiful.
It is. Yeah, 2 years ago they had the
That's
fire down there. They closed the PCH. I had to go get her.
yeah, that's the one over in Calabasas, Malibu, isn't it?
Malibu, yes, it is. It's
Yeah.
She sent us
Yeah.
pictures.
Isn't
It's
it
like
Canaan Road? Isn't it PCH and Canaan Road?
I believe so.
Aunt
I have a
Becky was
question.
trying to get me into USC.
Okay, so I have a question. Now, this is to all the parents that are here. Now,
Yes.
as parents, do you guys try and instill critical thinking in your children? And if so, how difficult did you find it for your children to kind of go along with it? Let's start. Let's first, Carl. Are you a parent, Carl?
No.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Scott, what about you?
No, I'm not a parent, but
Okay, Sean.
I have one daughter, 22 years old. She's always been smart, sometimes too smart. But when she was younger, it was always like instant gratification versus what's going to happen to me if I get caught. And that's the thing I try to instill in her: is that anything you pull now, I've already done it. And I did it better than you. So
Nice.
don't say, the BS filter is on every time you try something. But she's no trouble whatsoever. Never been in trouble with the law, and she had a 3.85 and graduate magna cum laude. Other than that, she's no good.
Okay, Morgie, are you a parent?
Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't think critical thinking goes well with cats.
No, definitely not with cats.
Cats are agents of Satan.
Yes,
actually, I'm gonna argue
agreed.
with that, Morgan. I think cats are very mischievous, and they do think through on how they want to plot their revenge.
Well, that's true. Yes. Well,
Oh God, yes.
Cats
they
are
say,
all angry we're home.
Just
Yeah,
saying.
well, as they say, dogs have masters, cats have slaves.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's exactly how it is. Chief Tuttle, what about you, sir? Are you a parent?
Yes, I am, but my boys are 12 and 10, so I don't think their critical thinking skills are up to it yet.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But what have you kind of thought about what you're going to talk to them about that at all, or just kind of like you're going to let it go when it gets to it, sort of thing, or?
Well, we always supervise the schoolwork that they do, and we check it over. We don't help them, but we encourage them to figure out the problems that they have, and with every student, homework is always the least popular of the things to do. But yeah, we encourage them to think, and we encourage them to solve and to piece together questions and puzzles, and actually so far they've been doing fairly well. So I'm pretty proud of these two little guys.
Oh, right on. Taco, are you a parent?
Nope.
Okay. Diver, what about you, sir? Diver?
He's muted.
Yeah, he's.
Yeah, I always multitask. No, yes, I have a daughter in grad school.
Okay, and did you find it difficult to teach your daughter? Well, probably not since she's in grad school. Critical thinking skills, or did it kind of came inherently to your daughter, or?
Oh, she has them. She's also working in her career field already for her internship.
Oh, right on.
What is she? That's impressive.
What field?
Mine is too. She's working from home, but she's working for a New Jersey firm here in Utah. We're living still.
Now, Tim, why would you say that? After 5 years old today, the kids are kind of screwed. Sadly, why would you say that, sir? I'm just curious why you would say that. I don't think that's true. I think it depends on a lot of factors. Because
it depends on the school system and how involved the parents are in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's something that we can put to critical thinking skills. It's not just education.
No.
It's actually, that family unit as a whole has been diminished. So, like when we were kids, your parents would take you out, you'd go camping, they'd try and teach you some kind of survival skills or how to think about what to do if you get lost in the woods or whatever, those kinds of things. And I think that's lacking as well. So you're losing critical thinking skills from just a lack of the actual family unit as well,
Yeah,
from going out and doing things together as a family, and being taught those kind of basic things from your parents.
You just reminded me of something, Morgie, of just what my dad said to me years ago, because I was not the bestest of kids, but we were going camping the one week, and I wasn't being a very good kid, and he threatened to actually just leave me in the forest one night and just take off and go home. And we were probably about 4 to 6 hours from the house at the time. I was 8, I think it was at the time. He wasn't going to actually do it, but he made that threat. So I would have probably learned a lot that night if he had actually carried through on that threat.
That's critical thinking.
Yeah.
Survival.
Sorry, I just remembered that little thing he said.
Well, it's going to be interesting with this generation that we think, and is older generations always think this about younger ones, I'm sure. Their lack of critical thinking, maybe. What is the next generation going to be if they're raising them?
Yeah, and again to the lack of parents. I think that goes back to the parents not being involved in kids. A lot of times there's single parents who really can't. They have to go out and support their family, and the kids got brought up on TV. They get brought up on Netflix or whatever, not by the parent, and that's where they learn a lot of what they know is off of TV. And TV, unless they're watching like KVIE or Discovery Channel or something weird, there's not a whole lot of critical thinking when it comes to TV shows, because they realize if they put too much critical thinking in a TV show, people are probably not going to watch it. So they're so I guess
all kinds of
a lot of it has.
It's the parental unit. It's the parent, and it doesn't matter. I mean, Morgan's saying that, like it's diminished the family unit, but it's changed. I mean, but again, parents have to be directly involved with their kid at all ages, at all levels.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, Stallbird. The first 5 years of a child's life are the most important. It's where they definitely learn the most. Very true.
Then you kick them out of the house at 5. So yeah.
Right. Sorry to interrupt you, Morgan.
Not always that late. We're in preschool at 4 or earlier.
Yeah, very true.
Well, mine went to kindergarten into school, but she was we put her in daycare even if somebody was home now and then, only because we couldn't stimulate her mind. She's ADHD, we found out, and she made it all the way through Pepperdine with that. Wow. It's amazing. But we couldn't keep her stimulated like they could at daycare, which was like a preschool in a way.
Yeah, look, I'll agree with you. It took me. I had a few learning difficulties as well. It wasn't until I ended up in university that they actually showed me that I had a sort of dyslexia. I'm left-eye dominant, but I write with my right hand, and I do everything backwards. So so when it came to kind of learning stuff, I'm one of those horrible people who will thread your screws and stuff like that, because I turn everything in the opposite direction, because that's how my brain works. So, but yeah, we worked on that and got over it, so I can understand that. But getting back to what we were talking about, talking about the breakdown of the family unit and what Kenny just said about kids being brought up on Netflix. And one of the best examples of that is you have a look at all these high school kid shooters who they're trying to emulate.
Yeah.
You've got the Joker, Batman. They're all trying to emulate somebody they've seen on television. They have access to their parents' guns. Fuck's sake, if there were guns in the house, you didn't know about them, and they were locked up so tight that you'd never be allowed to have access to them until you were a certain age. And
I grew up at a time with a lot of cop shows, and I never had a desire to go shoot somebody.
Yeah.
Yes, I know, but you've got to remember that in those days they weren't as violent as they are now. And between the gaming shows, the gaming streams that you have online now,
uh-huh.
and some of the movies that have come out over the years, that can really warp a kid's mind if that's all they're doing. If they're not getting out, and this is what I'm going back to the family unit, getting them out, getting them away from those kind of influences, because I think that a large amount, the call to duty and all that kind of stuff, where you've got blood and gore, blood and gore, blood and gore, and I think this was why people didn't take a lot of the ISIS stuff there's that kind of breakdown, and I think you're seeing it in society. They don't care about it as much until it actually happens to them, and I think you're seeing the same thing with this pandemic as well. Unless it happens to you, to me, because I haven't seen it, I'm not interested. I don't care. There's also a lack of empathy that's coming with all of this as well. That also goes from critical thinking to the influences to a lack of empathy. And I think it's a sort of societal breakdown with that.
Well, I also think that it's the influence. Young people's minds are like a computer, and what's the old saying? Garbage in, garbage out.
Yes.
I think they get desensitized by having these video games. However, there are a lot of teenagers that play those games and they don't get in any trouble at all. So it's like, really, I think there has to be some kind of precondition there where somebody lets that kind of entertainment, I guess you'd call it, influence in such a negative way.
Yeah, but you look at the change in kids' behaviour these days. Just even basic lack of manners.
Yeah, and that's the parents' fault.
No, it's not always the parents' fault. It's also the influence they're getting off the internet as well.
No, that's true. But a lot of times the kids that have that issue don't have that parental guidance to help guide them through what they're looking at on the internet. You know what I mean? They're looking at the wrong things, looking at bomb making sites or whatnot. They don't have those parents there to guide them through what they're looking at and make sure they don't look at the wrong thing or watch the wrong thing at such a young, tender age. And having an open communication dialogue with their children. Like when we were kids, well, I know when I was a kid back in the day, there was family time. There was dinner time. You sit around the table, you talk to your parents, you talk to your siblings, and you don't see that anymore. There's no communication between family. A lot of kids don't express what's wrong with them to their parents, and the parents have no idea because the kids don't talk to them.
Yeah, and then it comes back onto the teachers, and the teachers, of course, if they don't, there's something wrong, then they've got to report it, and then then unfortunately then that goes back to CPS. If there's some kind of suspicion, and CPS suddenly should roll up on the doorstep. And I think this is one of the problems that you're finding with society, is that the traditional roles are being fobbed off on other people.
There's a professor named Jonathan Haidt, Haidt, wrote a book called The Coddling of the American Youth, How We've Spoiled This Generation. He says, in a way, sometimes we overparent.
Mm.
And they don't have to say,
parenting?
What's that?
Helicopter parenting.
Yeah, exactly. And all you go too far one direction, when you be their buddy, will be their friend. Bill Maher put it right. This is the "Hey, mom, fuck you" generation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see kids talk to their parents. It's like, I would not have finished my sentence before that hand had knocked me across the store.
Oh yeah,
I was just about.
I
If
never
I
did
ever said
that.
that to my parents, man, my dad would have tanned my ass with a belt.
In the store. In the store, they would have done it.
Yeah. Well, my dad said something to me when I was a long time ago, but he said his job is to let me learn and make mistakes, but not make the mistakes that will cost me in the long run.
And never make the same one twice.
And what Russian chick said earlier, she said she saw a kid bawling and crying and yelling in a cell phone store because they couldn't get the new iPhone. Man, if I would have tried that crap when I was a kid, I would have. I not only would I have not got the iPhone, all my shit would have been took away when we got home. Every
And
last bit.
as my mother would say, you want someone to really cry about?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You've got my full attention.
Absolutely.
Hey, I got a question for the panel. Who here has been beaten by a switch? Anybody know what a switch is?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
Southern.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
it. Yeah.
I remember having to go get my own switch off a tree, and you better make sure you get the right one.
Yeah.
Or as Richard
yeah,
Pryor
it
said, they go
better
out and get the whole tree and hit you with it.
Absolutely. Especially those young little sapling branches. Ouch!
Oh man, those,
Yeah.
you could hear them before they hit
Oh
you.
man.
I remember one time me and my brother got some little smart ideas. We knew we were gonna get, a spanking. So we decided to go and we stuffed all kinds of clothes down our pants. Thinking, I don't know why we thought it was gonna work. Of course it didn't. Our mom just kind of looked, she kind of laughed, said, she's kind of like chuckled and like, take those out. I mean, it wasn't any worse or anything, but I don't know, it's amusing and I thought I'd bring it up because it was funny.
Today you can't spank your child now.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
no, you can't.
But
And-
there's also a lot of overzealous parents who hit way too hard.
Yeah. I mean,
And we didn't need to be belted like that either. You know what? I didn't behave any better because I hit on a switch. I was in fear, but not the right kind of fear.
Oh, the fear of God that was set upon me when I was a kid.
But that's
was
not
enough.
right in a way too. That's physical assault.
Yeah, physical assault. Yeah, I agree. There's
Yeah. Keep the parent who's been drinking away from your butt.
Yes. Agree.
My mother was very fair. I got in trouble when I was little, and I got spanked. And my older sister thought, "Well, that's funny." She's standing there laughing. My mother grabbed her up and spanked her. Said, "Now go laugh at your sister."
Yeah,
She said, "I'm the parent. You're not."
well, we grew up under the British system, so of course we had canes in school.
Oh,
They used to spank
no.
us in school.
Damn.
Yeah, so you would get
like a walking cane, like something like that.
like a walking cane. Yep, like a walking cane.
Oh my god!
So you used to get six of the best. You'd either get it on your ass or you'd get it over your hand. And and of course we used to do the same thing: shove a magazine down the back of our pants and try to stop that from happening. But yeah, no, we still had the cane when I was at school, and I think that only went out in the 80s or 90s or something. But corporal punishment was still quite a good thing. I'll tell you what, that and Saturday morning detention, which was the one thing you never wanted to do.
Oh man,
Yeah.
you're on display for everybody.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Now, this goes back to the basic critical thinking skill of actions versus consequences.
Yeah, exactly.
It's untaught.
What consequences?
Right, exactly.
You can't corporal punishment your child anymore because then child services will get involved.
Or they'll call the police on you.
Yep, that's true.
Well, that's what I was getting back to. That's what I was relating to earlier.
Oh, sorry, Marie.
No, that's okay. But that's what I was.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Morgan.
I have taken many a report when I was on duty on that very issue where people said, this is how we were brought up and this is how we discipline our children. And the law anymore, like in recent years, the law is if you use a foreign object, that is considered a misdemeanor.
Okay, so you use your hand, smack the child's bum.
That's like one of those things that I just can't wrap my head around. When I was a kid, to hear that you could actually call CPS on your parent for spanking you. Do you know, man, if I would have known something like that when I was a kid, right? Would I go, never get another spanking again?
You know what? We didn't.
Yeah, well, I had a problem with that.
Either.
Yeah, well, I had a problem with that. It was the fact that my father, before he went to work, had to put a uniform and a firearm on.
That'll do it. That'll stop it.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, where did your father work?
Local police department.
Good answer.
You went from being a carpenter to naval aviator, World War II, came home, joined the police department, went from patrolman to lieutenant.
Oh wow, right on.
Not bad.
Hey man, thank him for his service if he's still around. Thank him for his service.
No, he passed.
Well, thank you
Wooden
for his service.
spatula. Yeah, definitely thank you.
Oh, that hurt too.
The wooden spatula for sure.
Yeah,
That,
You know,
With the
really fun.
holes in it.
The
when we
wooden
were-
wooden spoon.
You guys remember that little game with the elastic string, the rubber ball at the end,
Oh,
and the
yeah.
paddle?
Oh, those would break on my butt. I mean, my mom gave that up quickly.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Balsa wood didn't last on me for like 2 swats. But then again, Dad was something else, you know.
despite the way we were brought up, like, I mean, I think I was brought up all right, fine. I would never have considered, no matter how severe I thought the punishment or something would be, I'd never call on my parents.
No.
It would never cross my mind.
No, never. It's just the way it was, like you did something stupid. And a lot of times as a kid, you knew you did something stupid, and you knew if you got caught, you were going to get in trouble,
Yeah, exactly.
And
Came with the territory.
we respected our parents for what they are, our authority, our everything. So
Well, not only that, but I think like my father, he was a Marine in World War II in the Pacific Theater, and when he came home, he became a New Jersey State Trooper. So that's all I ever knew. Ex-Marine, ex-State Trooper, and I didn't. If I farted wrong, I would be disciplined. You know what I mean? It's just the way it was in the old days. But I respected my father tremendously. I had so much respect for that man.
I did. I know I did. I respected my father. Like,
Yeah, well, my father was an ex-warrant officer as well, so I know exactly how you. Yeah, if you farted in the wrong direction or you looked in the wrong direction, you would know about it. You wouldn't automatically get. You wouldn't get smacked or something like that. You just get the look, and you knew that was enough.
that's all it took sometimes.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. It was just that sideways look because you knew the next one you would get smacked.
Yeah, it's funny. My father, like I said, naval aviator, World War II. He made it to first lieutenant, and then retired from the Navy Reserve as a lieutenant, and also retired from the police department as a lieutenant.
Sounds like an awesome career.
Yeah, I've got a little box full of lieutenant bars.
Children don't say sir or ma'am anymore.
No.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Completely.
My daughter has never said sir to me, and my wife didn't make her. And that always she said she thinks it's more of a Southern thing than the way she was brought up.
What did she call it?
I never did the sir and ma'am thing to my parents, but as I got older, I started using it a lot more.
I still do it, and I call ladies ma'am. They think I'm calling them old. I said, no, I'm Southern. That's how we talk. And
I just do it because I don't know somebody's name.
And we never called adults by their first name when we were children. It was always Miss or Mister.
Exactly.
Oh, that gets me when kids call their parents by the first name. If I ever tried that.
You're not a peer. You're not on the same level. You don't work. You don't provide.
Yeah, I came up with a saying recently: chivalry is dead, common sense is near death, and good manners are in a coma.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's always been. I was always taught that if you don't know somebody's name, you call them sir or mom.
Yes. And I work in a business. I'm an accountant, but I was a math major for a while too, and calculus kicked me twice, and I finally passed it on a third one. But even learning how to program basic computers years ago, it was always something called the if-then. If I do this, this is what might happen. You think that through before you do it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's up, Extortion Watchers? Welcome.
Hey, buddy.
How are you?
Doing all right. So, what do you want to put your little 2 cents on this? What you got? What you got?
About the beginning topic, or what topic are you talking about right now?
Any topic we've discussed, anything you can just bring right up, sir.
Oh, I don't got much to say, but
We all do.
But I just want to say, like, yeah, I do agree with you. There are a lot of like one-minded people that just won't critically think. I mean, I see people on the channel. I mean, when they comment, I don't even agree with them. but I
Yeah.
heard it anyways. But
Yeah, absolutely.
I can relate to the teenagers that get out of line because I did it myself. And you know what my dad did to me? He stuck me in a military academy for 2 years.
Yeah, well, that wasn't an option I could pursue with mine. So
Yeah.
I never really had any problem. It just every once in a while I just get too sassy. If I can't do anything about it.
All right, so let's get back to the original subject real quick. So so we discussed some of the things that are the issues that are lacking for critical thinking. Now, what are some solutions that maybe society come to kind of bring it back from the dead, from this brink of death? Let's start with you, Source Watchers.
Oh, good.
well, I don't think there is a way to bring it back from the dead. I mean,
You know,
yeah, there's always going to be those people who can't critically think. I mean, there's
but do you
those people
think?
who can, those who can't.
But do you think there's a way we could, like, at least maybe not make everyone critically think, but at least increase the number of people that do critically think?
I think we could over time, yeah.
What do you think some of the ways we could do it then?
I don't know. It just take a lot of work. I think, there's just a lot of one-sided people.
Okay. All right. Diver, are you available, sir?
Yeah, I'm sorry. They were just running the fact that they had a march today in Washington, D.C. in the Capitol Mall. Basically the same thing that went on 57 years ago today with the same type of march by Martin Luther King.
The Million Man March. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is
No.
this is just a march about what's going on lately, and like I said, it's on the anniversary of the famous "I Have a Dream" speech.
Chief Tuttle, what do you got for us? What do you think? What do you think are some ways we could get things, or at least increase the number of critical thinkers in our society?
I would say that students that are seeking higher knowledge, they need to take the right courses. Like we discussed earlier, there is degrees that you can get where Morgie said, and she reiterated it, there are just some degrees that you can get so easily and they don't really challenge your mind. And I think it probably has to do with some of the classes that they take. They take the easier classes just to get the credits in order to graduate. But the real passionate students, and I think this still exists, the real passionate students really go after the hard courses because they want to do well. They want that internship at that big corporation, and that's just going to lead to a great job. And I think it's kind of the courses that they take.
Okay. Morgie, what about you?
Well, I think number one, we need to start looking at where we're going as a society, but bringing the education needs to be overhauled. So you need to bring back those old skills of English, maths, and science. So bring those back for starters. So because that's where your critical thinking starts.
Yeah.
Is in school, is in high school or primary school. You have to start thinking through things. So get rid of the gender side, the gender studies, and all that kind of crap. I mean, I looked at the syllabus recently and I went, "What the fuck is that?" And I'm wondering why is that in high school? There's no need for that in high school. And then again, in universities have to start looking at the courses that they're bringing in. So you might have something in gender studies, but offer it as an alternate to it. Don't make it unless it you've got.
Okay, fair enough. Those are all great ideas. What about you, Sean? What do you got, sir?
I think it's got to be a person by person. There's the old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true. And we can lump the soft sits in with these too, because the guys who say, I don't need a driver's license, yada, yada, yada. It's like, oh, so 95% of us believe we do, but the other 5% don't. You're the smart ones. And Morgie was talking about, the women's studies or whatever, these feel good courses, but you got professors who are so indoctrinated to that's what they teach. And they're not going back to, like you said, with primary school, whatever. Kids don't learn cursive anymore, and I know it's kind of a lost skill, but you know what it teaches you to do is discipline, because you have to learn to do something.
Oh God, I remember doing that with the line.
These kids can't write with a damn. I mean, it's awful.
They can't spell either.
No, not unless they got to a computer with them. No, they can't spell.
Spell check.
But that's what I'm saying.
Life doesn't have spell check.
No, it doesn't. And life doesn't have a reset button either. I know some people wish it does, though.
Or they can't speak proper grammar. They don't know the combination of not, nor, neither, nor, things like that.
Yeah. All right, Stuck. What about you, sir? What do you got?
Well, Morgie's right. It goes back to the education system for starters. I agree with that. That we've got to get back to the core courses that teach the skills. Now, these skills are also, like, I think anybody, it's like critical thinking is a learned skill. You don't just, or you're not born with it. So, I mean, most of us aren't anyway, but it is, you can learn it, but it takes those courses to do so. We also need to, get parents re-educated on how to teach their kids to learn for themselves. And do something. Like, it's fine to have a single parent household. There's nothing wrong with that. But that parent should also teach their kid that, okay, instead of sitting there and watching, YouTube all day and chatting on, with their friends, why not learn how to learn and teach that kid how to go after that knowledge without the parent around? So it's two-sided there, I think.
Absolutely. What about you, Carl?
Well, in order to bring back common sense, it's not possible.
All right, so somebody brought up a question I want to ask everyone. I'll answer it first, and then we'll go over where was it? I just saw it. It is all right. So the problem nowadays, I'm assuming it's what? What's the problem nowadays? Kids are brought up differently or not brought up? I think it's a combination of both, honestly. I think the way the kids are parents are bringing up the kids. They're telling the kids, like, they're treating their kids like they can make their own decisions as children, and they're not making the decision for them when they're young. They're not raising their kids. They're allowing the kids to raise themselves. So I think it's a little bit of both, in my opinion. What about you, Carl? What do you think?
Have to muse a little more. You'll have to come back.
All right, Stuck.
What?
You weren't listening?
I was. I thought I made my comment, but yeah, I missed the question, I guess.
No, someone asked, what's the problem nowadays? Kids are brought up differently or not brought up?
It's a combination of both. Again, understandably the family units changed, but parents aren't making decisions for kids that should be made, like when we were younger. Like, the parent, until you're a certain age, you can't make certain decisions. At the same time, you've got to teach your kid to go do something that you want to do, but I'll keep an eye on you, but I make the final call. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got you. No, and I totally agree with you. I think it's a little bit of both too. Sean, what about you, sir?
I think there's a difference, but like I said, I got lucky with mine. And she wasn't brought up like I was, but she just so smart she could sort of bring herself up. But I see other kids who, 9, 10-year-old, just total brats that talk sassy to their parents, and then of course to us, you're like, "Hey, buddy." So I think it's a little bit of everything. I don't think schools are empowered to discipline, not hit them, but there's got to be consequences for being a moron. It's called detention.
Yeah.
And parents
Morgie?
have to want to, do the same thing for their kids.
Morgie, what about you? What do you think? Morgie, you there?
Morgan.
All right, we'll move on to Chief Tuttle for right now. Chief Tuttle, what about you, sir?
Yeah,
Hello?
I think a direct. Oh, go ahead, Morgie.
Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened. It just, sorry, Doc. I was saying I think it's a bit of both, but I think that it comes back to that breakdown of the family unit where there's no direction being given.
Yeah.
As well. It's still up to the parents to give some kind of direction and encouragement, as well as school. You need direction and encouragement.
Absolutely. Randy Nicole put up a good point. Parents need to show morality. If they see mom or dad running around in different beds and partners, the kids will think that is proper. That's true. That is very true. Okay, Chief Tuttle, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I liked what you said earlier about dinner at the table. That's what we always did. We all had dinner at the table. There weren't any cell phones back then. We were just, my parents would ask me how my day was. I'd ask them how their day was, and we would actually talk. I don't think that happens enough these days because everybody's on their electronic devices, and it's not just the kids; it's the adults too. So I think some parents are, not really in with the nurturing part that we used to get when we were kids. I mean, the family unit was very important back in the old days. I don't know how old you folks are, but I'm
Chief,
52, so
yeah, I got a solution that worked for me anyway. We went out to dinner with my brother-in-law, my mother-in-law, my two nephews, and they both had their godforsaken fucking iPads, while we're at this restaurant, And I just immediately piped up and I showed I led by example. I took out my cell phone, I put it upside down in the center of the table. I said, okay, boom, you put your devices there, and the first one to fucking touch it pays for the meal. Do you know how much they didn't touch their iPads that whole meal?
that was a great strategy. I like that one. I'm gonna have to use that.
You have to lead by example. You have to be the first one to put your device on the table and show that you're
Diver, what do you think? Somebody mute. Can everyone whoever's not talking, can you guys mute? Because there's like a lot of background noise. Someone's like listening to a TV and all that. All right. So, Diver, what do you think? The question was, someone still isn't muted that has a TV going. Okay, I think it's gone now. All right. So, Diver, the question was. Let me find it again. Forgot it. What was it? Hold on, I just saw it. Shit.
It's the amount of autonomy that you give your children.
Okay.
As growing up, I had two sisters that were involved in swimming, so I hated being around the chlorine-saturated atmosphere of an indoor pool. So I seldom went with them after the first season, and it was just me at home reading books and going down to the basketball court behind the town hall. But yeah, I had autonomy to a certain extent, but there were things that I wasn't allowed to do. Like, if I told my parents I'd be in one spot and if my friends wanted to go somewhere else, I had to go home and tell them, yeah, I'm going to be the other spot. We didn't have cell phones, so I couldn't just text or call them. And having a father as a police officer was rather interesting, considering all the younger brothers and sisters in my class that had their older siblings being busted by my father. Yeah, I caught a lot of it. But the thing is, if you're going to raise a child in today's age. You need to teach them the morals. You need to teach them the proper work ethic. Because right now, as I said earlier, I don't know if it was here or another one, the work ethic in this country is do the least amount of work for the most amount of money. And unfortunately, what's going on now in the pandemic with all the unemployment that's being offered, it's not teaching anything different.
Yeah,
And you,
absolutely. I agree. Go ahead, Morgan.
sorry, I was just going to say, and your frauditors are one of the best examples of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Social workers, what do you think? Are kids being brought up differently, or are they not being brought up at all?
They're being brought up a lot softer of environment. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Now,
I think
I mean,
I think
you
all
just
of us can agree that kids are a lot softer than they were today than they were back in the day. I don't think anyone can disagree. At least anyone on panel would disagree with that, right?
like now, if you even touch your kid, it's DHS.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that kind of got created by parents who were not up to the task. It kind of if certain parents create abuse and it gets out there, then you kind of think that uh, all of the parents are bad, which they're not. But like certain parents who are abusive to their children, it makes it bad for all the parents who are just trying to discipline their children, and it can kind of be a gray area. Yeah, I don't know if you know that it can kind of be a real gray area, whether it's abuse or whether it's discipline. That's like the 50-50 question.
Absolutely. All right. So my next question is: this is for everyone here. This is brought up in the chat. The participation trophy. Now, how does everyone feel about the participation trophy? I think it's stupid. I think it teaches children that everyone wins. When no, there is a winner. There's one winner. Everyone else didn't win. I think it takes away from any kind of drive to do better, to be the best. And I think that's exactly what we need, especially in the type of economic environment we are in, for sure. What about you, Carl? What do you think?
I'm with you.
Okay. Scott.
I just get rid of the fucking thing. I mean, it takes away the natural drive for competition to do better. If you have a competition on something, fine. You have a winner, and you have two secondary runner-ups, first, second, and third place. Everybody else, come back next time. Try again.
Carl, could you mute your? Can you mute your? Thank you, Carl. All right, Morgie, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. Your lack of competition is, and the fact that you're not encouraged to strive to do better. You've got your little participation medal. I've got a medal for beef for just showing up. Hey, great. Well, life's going to be a doodle, you know that, and so there's no, and this is what I meant by direction and encouragement. You need to be encouraged to do better than what you did. Okay, well, you didn't get a medal this time, but if you apply yourself, you can get one next time. You know that. Then I think that's where we're losing it. We're not encouraging. We're not directing.
Absolutely, I agree with you totally. Chief Toto, what do you think, sir?
I do not like the participation trophies. I think it's not what the kids need to learn. Human beings pride themselves on competition, especially when they're young, in sports or academics or any kind of field they choose. You know, people thrive on competition, and the only way you can learn and learn from your mistakes and do better the next time is if you lose.
That's right.
Exactly. And the kids don't understand losing anymore. It's just like, oh, here's your trophy. You showed up. What did they learn? They learned nothing. Absolutely nothing.
No. They did learn. They learned that by being lazy, they can still get the prize.
Absolutely. I would agree with that 100%.
Diver, what do you think, sir?
Well, supposedly this whole thing about participation trophies is based on giving the young individual self-esteem. Well, guess what? You give everybody the same thing with no competition for anything greater, and what do you get? You get mediocrity. You get, oh, just enough to survive. And that's going to be a problem when they go out into the real world. All they're going to know is how to survive. They're not going to be able to know how to achieve. They're not going to be able to have the basic understanding that you need to do better each time. Because if you don't, there's going to be no excitement the next time you go to do it.
That's
It's
right.
going to be a machine. And if that's what the leaders of this world want, I guess they're going to get it.
So that's why I enjoy having Diver and Morgan on a panel, because they both just they put it so perfectly, and that was very perfectly put, Diver. That was excellent. Extortion Walkers, what do you think?
I don't think there should be a second place trophy. I don't think there should be a third place trophy at all.
Really? Why not a second or third place trophy?
Well, because it teaches the kids to be competitive, and
Okay.
the real world, they don't care. The real world doesn't care who's second or third. It's always like
That's a good
who's
point.
first.
That's a very good point. Now, would the rest of the panel agree with that? It should just be one winner and that's it. No one else should get any kind of
Yeah,
recognition.
yeah. How are you going to get the Olympics to change silver and bronze or get rid of them? Not going to happen.
Yeah,
It's
I
true.
don't-
No.
Yeah, it's part of. I mean, the idea of second and third is that is the encouragement for you to strive a little better, so you get to that goal. It's goal building. It's back to critical thinking. It's okay. What do I need to change to get to that point?
I mean,
That's what I want to be. That's how I want to be. Now, what do I need to change? How do I need to change my training? How do I need to do this? How do I need to change my education? Do I need to take these classes? Just a question. Do high schools still over there still do credits for extra? Um, you get academic credits for extra to go towards your college degrees. So you
Yeah,
joined the debate team and stuff like that. Do they
yeah,
still
they
do
still do
that?
that. They still
They
do that.
still do
Yeah.
that?
it
Okay.
depends on the curriculum of the local school and whether or not they have a college that will certify it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, right. I had heard that it happened. I didn't know how it worked, but that there's those kind of things. If you want to do it, then you need to do. If you want to go to college, then you need. This is we can give you a pathway to do it, but you've got to put in the effort to do it. You're not just going to show up. You've got to participate, and you've got to show that you're actually interested in it. It's the same with the second and third. It gives you that motivation to go that one step further.
But now,
I
isn't that kind of like the point behind a participation trophy? They're hoping that that'll give people, these students, the exact same drive to do better. It's like, hey, look, I got some sort of recognition, so now I'm going to do better.
It
That's kind of
doesn't.
the theory behind it.
Like
Yeah,
if
but
you're,
like if you
they
okay,
even
well, I'm just going to interject this real quick. The Navy SEALs, the United States Navy SEAls, have a motto: second place is the first loser. Somebody just said this in the chat, and he's
Oh, yeah,
absolutely right, because they train them to be winners, and they punish them for losing, and it's a mindset. And that's why you don't. I mean, I almost agree with getting rid of second and third place too, because they're just the second and third losers. So
well,
that's
the problem with that philosophy is you're talking about the end all degree. I mean, the Olympics, it's a competition. It's not life or death. The military, it's life or death. You mess up, you might die, or the guy next to you might die, or the whole group might die. That's why you have that. In the real world, outside of combat, it's not quite that critical. At least that's the philosophy I see. And the other thing is, look at horse racing. You got four different places. You got first, second, third in the show. I mean, these are the type of things that are ingrained in society, and it's going to be hard to change that. The same difficulty that we're having right now in trying to change the culture of policing in this country. It's been so ingrained in us for over 100 years that we've let it go too long without having a look at it. And the reason we're having a look at it is because people have the technology to record it. If people didn't have the cameras, we wouldn't be hearing about all this. If we didn't have the 24-hour news cycle, we wouldn't be hearing about all this. The other thing with these placings of things, yeah, humans have to be competitive. It's in our nature. It was the competitiveness of the Neanderthal that we won over them because we
Hey guys,
had a
I just
little bit
walked in to
more
say hi
intelligence.
and like bye real quick. And you guys sound like really old people, just so you know. Like
Well,
old
let's
people,
put it
like
this way.
old
We got
people.
to be this age because we learned.
Oh, she's gone.
You know, the other thing is everybody called, just real briefly to throw out what was just thrown in. People call us boomers. Well, guess what? You're on an internet. Who invented it? Boomers. Who invented the semiconductor that enabled all this?
Oh, I don't know.
Boomers. Who invented
Now,
most
now
of
I
what
don't
we're
feel so
using
bad about
nowadays?
being a boomer.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Children are not learning respect.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, another thing I want to bring up, like now, I remember when there was a time where just to change the subject, but Brian had his daughter on, right? And everyone was like getting on him about having his daughter on a show, the kind of show that he has. If you pay attention to any of the stuff he does or anything the 1A community does, that's not something I would want my child to be into. I wouldn't even want a child to watch any of my streams or any of my videos because I know there's bad elements to it. So do you guys think that what do you guys think about that? Do you guys believe that it's okay for him to have had his daughter on the show, listening to the show, doing all this stuff on such a adult themed kind of night for his chat? What do you guys think?
Who?
Carl?
No.
No.
All right, Stuck?
No, I don't think so.
Morgie?
Yeah, I'll have to think about that one for a little while.
Okay, Chief.
I don't think so. Not. It wouldn't be my first choice to do that.
No, Diver.
No, definitely not.
Social watchers.
Who are you talking about?
NNE. His daughter was on one.
Yeah, I never agreed with that. I saw that like a couple weeks ago too.
Oh yeah. Sorry. No, that should never have happened.
He always has her on the show.
It's just one of the things. Now, again, it's like one of those things I can't stop kids from watching a show if I have one on. I mean, if they get on someone else's account and look at it, then hey, you know what? Honestly, there's nothing I can do about that. I can't unless I know the account and I block the account. That's the only way I'd be able to control that. But yeah, I wouldn't agree to have a child on any type of show like that. I mean, if he wants to do something like that, hey, make a night where it's all about kids. Say, hey, look, this video is more family oriented. Then hey, I'd be all for that. You know, it could even be a 1A community type of family night sort of thing. Just make sure everyone who comes on, like, let's not have Zombie on shortlist. Let's not have AFA come on spouting his crap. You know, let's not have certain people come on, and let's have a more family friendly environment for your children.
Yeah. And the panel better listen because we have probably over 350 years of life experience on this panel.
Didn't Google lose a lawsuit recently for about $6 million over this?
I don't know.
Yeah, and that's why now whenever you make a video, you have to make sure you have to let them know if it's made for kids or not made for kids. And if if you label it wrong, you could lose. You could owe a lot of money because Google's basically says, well, we don't want to pay that type of money again. So now they're making it part of the creators' problem. Now it's like, no, we're going to pass
Boy.
it up to you guys.
But I wouldn't even call it a problem. It's more of a creator's responsibility.
Well, it depends. I mean,
but
it depends. But there are some. What about gaming channels? Gaming channels are being targeted by this.
Right, but it's up to the creator of the channel to have the responsibility to say, yes, this is age appropriate, or or young age appropriate, or just shoot the shit like we're doing in an adult related chat. It's up to you to determine that on your channel, Kenny. Not it's not a problem because it is important because kids will find anything online now.
Yes, but the point is they're passing the buck on to the creators, so we have to pay this fine if anyone ever has an issue with it. But it's causing an issue with gaming channels, like gaming channels that are showing like Mario. Mario is considered kid friendly, right? So now they have to make their video for kids, and you know what happens and those videos can no longer be monetized.
You missed my point, Kenny. It's as adults, as the guiding factor in kids' lives. Okay, and we make the decision on what in a situation like this we are responsible. It shouldn't be a problem that we say yes, it's age appropriate or not. You're using the word problem versus responsibility. I think we have a responsibility to make sure we protect the kids on some of these things.
Well, yes, but the issue that this new thing that Google's making is making it a problem. It is responsibility. Like if it's not made for kids, make sure it's not made for kids. But that's not what Google's doing. Google is saying we have no responsibility over this. Whatever someone wants to put on our thing, it's up to them. They get to do it. And now because of this whole COPPA thing, gaming channels are being targeted.
Okay. Now I just want to make sure you use the word, problem versus responsibility, and make sure it's distinguished here. I think, right? I understand that, I get what you're saying, but we also have to protect our kids. So why not
obviously you have to. Obviously, the kids have to be protected, but I mean,
but think about it too. Think about it. How many videos go up every day? Okay,
millions.
It's a very difficult process to monitor every single fucking one. So that you've got to have some responsibility on the creator to make that distinction. Because you can't leave it all up to Google. I mean, yes, they monitor. Yes, all these complaints come in and everybody gets flagged and all this other stuff. But it still comes down to the creator's responsibility of what they put online. Now, yes, they're targeting gaming channels for whatever reason. That is a problem from the sounds of it. But don't think that it's a problem that we have to take responsibility for what we put up.
But they're not putting up anything bad.
No,
they're just talking about video games.
Right. Okay. That is.
So how is that their responsibility?
That it's not Google's responsibility. It's the creator of that channel to say yes, it's age appropriate.
But here's the thing: if COPPA then comes in and says that, okay, you're talking about Mario, right? So we believe that this is it's targeted towards kids. Okay, someone's like got the speed going. That down, please.
Sorry, my fault.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, so I mean, they're just passing it on. It's because they don't want to pay the fine. They already paid, like Diver said, it was a huge settlement because there are so many issues. And now they're generally just passing the buck on. Yes, we do have a responsibility.
Good.
To make sure the kids stay safe. But this is YouTube's platform.
Yeah.
They should be doing this. They should be doing all this. If somebody makes a video for kids, they're going to say this is for kids, right? They're going to do it. Most people will, for the most part.
Right.
I think the thing is that if they have terms of service, then it's up to them to manage those terms of service.
That's the point. They're passing the buck on, and that's the issue. They're making it a problem instead of their responsibility. They're passing their responsibility to the creator, which is making a problem.
Exactly. So if they're not going to monitor their own platform, then I mean, you're talking about some of the finest tech minds in the world, and they can't put filters on that stop that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
That amazes me. That absolutely amazes me. If there's certain content that comes up and it's not appropriate or it's not deemed appropriate. But then again, I understand that there's problems with your First Amendment because being a lot of these being American based, you open yourself up to litigation for First Amendment violations. So you're kind of between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
Yeah, see right here, Calkin puts it perfectly. COPPA is a joke. The age minimum for YouTube is 13, but COPPA is under 13. Why? Because parents are passing the buck from themselves to the media platform, and the media platform is therefore passing the buck to the creators.
Right.
And the creators are just there to make money, so they're not going to give a rat's ass, are they?
Absolutely.
So then it's up to the creator. Yeah. So then they still have to enforce the TOS to say, like, if you're making age inappropriate material and you're putting that up and you're not flagging it as age inappropriate, then you are responsible for that action.
Well, yes, absolutely, but maybe they, I totally agree with you on that. But the point is, YouTube is not. It's now taking all of their responsibility away. They're not dealing with it at all. They're making you decide if it's not. They're saying, no, we're not going to decide anymore because we're not going to want to pay that, $44,000 fine per video.
Wow.
Which is why they ended up paying like $6 million or billion or something like that. They paid a shitload of money for that, and they do not want to have to do that again.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, I understand that. Yeah, I get that part. It's just, again, as a community, we all have our responsibilities at the end of the day.
And we do, and that's what the TOS is for, to ensure that people do that.
And then is that if I violate the term of service, I put up a video tomorrow that I claim is, that I don't put any restriction on, and it's age inappropriate, then I should be fined that $44,000. That's how they pass the buck down. That's how they should be doing it.
Exactly, because I mean, you think about how much they've just paid in fines. If they'd have just put that into filters, they wouldn't have had to pay anywhere near that.
Nope.
That's right. Yeah,
absolutely. No, and I do agree. If someone does mess with the COPPA and all that, yeah, they should have to pay some of the fine too. But I also think it's Google's responsibility to kind of filter through and ensure no one's trying to take advantage of that. So they shouldn't take all the blame, but they're not completely innocent. You know what I mean?
They still have to do the monitoring, and I think they still do to a certain degree. But
they pass the buck completely.
Right, but with the amount of content that is now going up on this platform, they've had to leave a lot of it up to automated systems.
Stuck. You're not understanding me. Okay, you're. I don't understand. All right, you're not really understanding.
I guess I am. Oh, tells me I'm missing the point, and then he shuts up. I love it.
I think the algorithm has been wrongly, whatever the algorithm is, they need to change the algorithm filters.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, but again, there's so much content you can't you can have a whack ton of monkeys sitting there staring at it, and there's no way you can keep up.
Well, they do have a whack ton of monkeys basically looking at it, because some of the stuff that gets through should never get through.
Because of probably the algorithm itself, right?
Highly likely, yeah.
I got unplugged and no one heard me.
Yeah, hear you now.
Yeah, same thing happened to me a minute ago. I got something kicked me. I don't know what it was, but yeah.
What? I can't hear you.
Still there? Oh, Kenny's still gone.
Okay,
Yeah.
can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yep, I can hear you.
Much better, sir.
No, I can't.
Well, put your hearing aid in.
Now that was funny.
Yeah, she said it right. He's still good. He's got a $4 microphone or something he bought. So
Oh, for heaven's sake.
I know, eh? What a bad host.
Oh well, you know, I think at least he's hosting, which is more, and at least we're having an intelligent debate compared to some of the garbage on YouTube.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
I know. I mean, I've seen some nasty crap lately, and it pisses me off, you know?
Oh, me too.
Okay, I think I fixed it. I don't know what the hell happened.
I mean, you know, I do enjoy YouTube because I do get to see things that I can't see on mainstream news and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
being able to be, so, but the interesting thing is also that you can also use YouTube for critical thinking. You can go and look at different videos, as in, you know, like we were talking about the Kenosha thing earlier. So you've got all these videos that come out of there, and you've got all these different views of things that you can see. But then
Right.
again, you've got to remember also with those videos have been clipped. So you've got to ask yourself what happened beforehand. It's like the fraudative videos. How much has been edited out? What happened beforehand? You know, those are the questions you've got to ask yourself when you see these things, not just take it on the face value. And I think CNN copped that the other day, didn't they, about taking something on its face value. And the other thing is, you know, the thing with that shooting is we don't know what that guy had in the car. We know he had warrants now. We know that he was struggling with police. But that door, you can see him moving into the car. But it doesn't look like he's going to the seat. It actually looks like he's reaching for something. But we don't know. And I mean, we're not going to know until the investigation's out. But this is a problem, is people are only taking little wads of what they see. They're not putting the critical thinking. They're not asking themselves what happened beforehand. Why were the police after him? Why were they called there? Why would the police be called at the school when this guy's picking his kids up? There must have been a reason for them to be there. You know, it's those things, and they're just, all they seeing is, you know, this guy getting shot. They're not asking themselves those critical questions. They're not critically thinking about why were they there in the first place, and that's all you have to ask.
Or like one of the guy at the Wendy's that ran away from the cops and took the cops' taser. Everyone's all up in arms that the guy got shot. It's like, dude, he tried to freaking shoot cops with their own taser, ran away. I mean, he out wrestled two cops, which I think had to be embarrassing to those officers. It had to be. A drunk guy out wrestling them and tries to shoot one of the cops. I mean, obviously, I get why the cops shot him, but everyone was like, "Oh my god, the cops shot this guy," after he tried to shoot them with the taser. I mean, no one is even understanding that, and they're out there burning down the Wendy's that was at and protesting in this guy's honor. It's like, you do realize he was in the wrong in the situation, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, this, as Margie's saying, this one incident is an example of many. Like, somebody sees one snippet of information, all of a sudden, I see something that I don't like, I'm going to go out and, like, you know, riot and pillage my town because I'm pissed off, not realizing I should go look at the whole fucking story to say, oh, what actually happened? Who's in the right? Who's in the wrong? What are all the details? That's what courts do, isn't it? They go through all that process. So the lesson of the day is, kids, is don't take everything at face value. Look into it further, and don't riot. But yeah,
absolutely, that is true. All right, guys. So this has been a lot of fun, but gonna end this one. Give everyone a chance to get anything last minute. Carl, you got anything last minute?
Yes, I do. I have a joke for everybody.
Yeah.
All right. So there's one time I went skydiving, and I pulled on the record. Nothing happened. Pull on the record again. Still nothing. All of a sudden, they say, woman goes shooting out past me. I yell up, hey, I know anything about grip cords? She'll no, do you know anything about gas stoves?
It's a good one. All right, thanks for that, Carl. Stuck, what you got?
Nope, just take a lesson from anybody watching this. Do your goddamn research and stop taking everything at face value. And talk, not and argue and talk about stuff if something needs to change or you don't believe in something. But let's just all act like proper adults here. Think through.
Okay, Chief.
First of all, I'd like to thank you, Kenny, for having this live stream. This has been great. I like the topics. I like talking about it, and I guess my parting thought would be the police are out to help you. They're not there to hurt. They're not there to intimidate. They're not there to take a violation of your civil rights. They're just trying to do a job. So give them a break.
Chief, so I'm thinking next Saturday we can do that the stream for you. Does that work for you?
Yeah, no problem. As long as I have some time to come up with some topics, and
you got a whole week. You got a whole
problem.
week.
I'll have a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah,
right, cool.
that next Saturday is great.
All right, cool. Sounds good. Diver, any last minute thoughts?
Yeah. Morgan, by the way, there was a knife in the vehicle. They've already identified that. Yeah, it's just a shame people give knee-jerk reactions without looking at all sides and in the middle for the actual truth. And that's just the human reaction, unfortunately. And like I said, I saw it earlier on the newscast. They did show the second video, the one that was taken from the passenger side of the vehicle, and it was not complete. They edited out the first few seconds that showed the struggle that the police were going through with him. And I've yet to hear them mention the warrants or anything else. It's just a question of, if you're going to report the truth, report both sides of a story, report every detail that you can get. Don't just cut and paste.
Absolutely. That's to all journalists out there, whether you work for a big company or you work for yourself. Heed that advice. Extortion watchers, I know you normally say no. I'm gonna put you on the spot here. I need you to at least give me something. Come on, man.
I do think the cop was it was murder. I do think it was murder. And that's because I went to good cop. He did a video on it, and then I think is you can't just kill somebody because you think you're gonna pull something on you. You can't do that. But they didn't figure out that he had a knife until after the guy was already shot. And so you can.
If I may, the gentleman there, unless you're a rookie in that town, pretty much it was small enough that I'm sure the vast majority of officers on that police department knew who he was and knew his past and knew what they were looking into. There's a video out there by a server on Discord called Officer 401. If I can get to it, I'll put it up on the chat here and in the private chat. It explains a little bit from their point of view. It's rather educational.
All right.
First of all, Randy Nakol in the chat went Antifa and BLM and said they want to see the country burn. Well, from what I've heard, the other side want to come out with guns and blow everybody away. So that works both ways, and I'd be very careful about saying things like that, because that's one of the problems. That's one of the problems that you're actually fueling the fires that are going with. with that kind of bullshit. So, there's two sides to the story, and both sides are doing it. But yeah, I agree with Diver. As far as Diver was concerned, is that you've got to keep asking yourself the questions, and the journalists, the news needs to keep reiterating that we don't know what happened, we don't know what was behind it. They're as part of the critical thinking as everybody else. They need to encourage people to think about what the situation was.
Okay. Absolutely. One last thing I just wanted to say, make sure at least at some point today, try to and apply some critical thinking to a situation you normally wouldn't apply some critical thinking to, and see if you come up with either a better solution to a problem or just a more understanding of the other person or any given situation. Try and practice critical thinking more and more each day until you apply critical thinking into just your everyday life if you already don't. If you already do, then hey, you're ahead of the game anyway. I just want to thank everyone for joining me. Carl, thank you, sir.
Yep.
Stuff,
Oh,
thank
it was
you.
fun. As always.
Chief Tuttle, thank you. Diver, thank you, sir. Source and Watchers, thanks, sir. Morgie, thank you very much. This has been a lot of fun. I thought we had a great conversation. We learned a lot of new things, and I think we didn't really. I mean, this wasn't necessarily going to accomplish anything, but I just thought it would be a nice conversation to have and to kind of see if maybe some people didn't feel necessarily the way I did, and hear some things. Some of those things, of course, we didn't get a whole lot of people come up that were against it, but still, it was fun. Tomorrow we're gonna have a live on Shelly I'm gonna fuck her name up. Miscavi, is it? The Scientology lady? What's her name again? Shelly something.
Yeah, we know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So her, we're gonna have one on her. So if you want to join that, hopefully, like I said, we can get Nasty Nathaniel in to talk about that. All right, guys, it's been great. Been a lot of fun.
Okay.
See you again on another podcast. All right, y'all.
Yeah.
Peace.
Take care, Judy.
Have fun,
Yep,
kid.
later.
Bye.
Bye.
Kenny,